Miami's like the little stepsister of New York City, right? With
Yes, it
beaches.
is.
And
There's a
it's
lot of
and
back and forth.
Miami's gotten so sophisticated and so there's this European influence and South Americans are here and it's this eclectic, it's very vibrant right now, I will say. I kind of love it and I kind of hated it. I kind of liked when it was like this little quiet little beachy town, but there are benefits to all of that. And to your point about writing in Miami, I write what I know
Mhm.
and I get a feeling from a place.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. I am very pleased to be interviewing Rochelle B. Weinstein. I want to get that B in there because it's in her bio. She was born and raised in Miami, Florida. She moved north to attend the University of Maryland, earned a degree in journalism, began her career in Los Angeles at the LA Weekly. Then she moved back to Miami, enjoyed a stint in the entertainment industry, married her love of music with all things creative, and then she began to write, it says, when your twins arrived, which is a very interesting moment to begin blossoming as a writer. And we are here today to discuss her recent novel, When We Let Go. So, hi, Rochelle. It is so nice to meet you.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me here. And
Of
hello to
course.
everybody out there who's listening in.
Yes, yes. So I'm want to start with that. What was it about the birth of your twins that really began your writing career in creative writing?
That's a great question. So I was always a closeted writer. I had the journal going, the private musings, nothing for public consumption because God knows what I had to say was not worthwhile. And I'd worked since I was 14 years old, always. I was a latchkey kid and, I've always had jobs. So what was interesting was I was working for the Box Music Network, which was my kids always tell me it was much cooler than my current job. I worked with all the record labels all around the country on a network that I handled all their advertising and promotions. So the company was ultimately bought by MTV out of New York by Viacom. And they moved everybody up to New York. But my family, I'm in Miami. So my family was here. I had just had my twin boys. And, you know, you don't pick up and move your whole family away from the grandparents when you have twin boys. So I opted to stay in Miami. They gave me a year's severance, which is kind of unheard of these days. And I was like, okay, so what am I going to do with my life? And I know what everybody's saying out there. And well, you have twin boys, and I mean they were infants, and getting them on a schedule because I was crazy. And I got them on such a militant schedule, like they were napping like 3 hours during the day in the morning, and then I just felt like I needed an outlet. Like I
Mm.
felt that I needed something for me. And being a mom, we will never diminish being a mom. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world and one of the most fulfilling. But having always worked my entire life, I just had this itch to scratch and I had a story to tell. And I literally sat down while they were napping. I would just do 3 hour blocks every day. And 110,000 words became my first novel, What We Leave Behind. I almost forgot the name. And that was in 2000, 2001 maybe. And I didn't do anything with that book. It didn't come out till 2012.
Mm. Okay. Well, and I think it's the best-selling novel, right?
Yeah.
I don't want you to sell yourself short on it. Like
It, it,
Rochelle has been written about in the New York Times. I mean, this is yes. Well,
it was a
she's
USA
shaking her head.
Today best-selling book, that
Okay,
book.
well, I would take it. USA Today best-selling book. As long as you can say best-selling book anywhere,
You're
that is
kind.
good. But I'm kind of matching your, well, thank you for laying that out because I think it's so interesting to talk to someone who goes into creative writing and that process later, like when they're in another career. So it's not, say, just your side hustle
Hmm.
as you're at a job and it's something that you now have fallen into. I mean, you did just say though, you're working still in music, or is it a different
No,
type of?
no, no,
Oh,
no. I'm not in
okay.
the music business at all. I wrote that first book as a lark, didn't know what I was going to do with it, sat under the bed, got it professionally edited, let the carpool moms read it in their book club. They were like, you need to get this published. Fast forward, I did self-publish, which is a whole other podcast for, struggling writers. And yes, it ended up hitting the USA Today bestseller list. But, I was talking to somebody today, as a matter of fact, another writer, about, you know, she was like, well, I'm 51. Am I going to really start a career right now in writing? And oh my God, writing is like one of the few things that we can do as women, as mature women, also at any stage in our lives. So I think it's such a blessing and such a gift to be able to have that ability in today's world also.
Yeah, and I'm kind of matching your Miami vibes. I don't know. I like to think Miami is always all floral patterns of outfits, but
Oh my
um
God, you're right. That's very cute. You're in your floral. I'm in my
well,
pink.
there you go. I like it. Yeah, you're matching Rochelle is matching the cover of When We Let Go
Yes.
in a way. Yes, hold it up again. And something that I want to note is it's very rare, especially with all the different writers I have on. It's rare to have a Miami set novel in a way, especially when it's this very deep nuance of mourning, loss. Um, but it's interesting because When We Let Go isn't just a Miami narrative. It's actually someone who's a transplant into
Yeah.
Miami
Yeah.
from North Carolina. So I found this southern, I mean, Miami's in the South, but I kind of consider Miami this like Northeast transplant.
Miami's like the little stepsister of New York City, right? With
Yes, it
beaches.
is.
And
There's a lot of back and forth.
and Miami's gotten so sophisticated, and so there's this European influence, and South Americans are here, and it's this eclectic. It's very vibrant right now, I will say. I kind of love it and I kind of hated it. I kind of liked when it was like this little quiet little beachy town, but there are benefits to all of that. And to your point about writing in Miami, I write what I know,
Mhm.
and I get a feeling from a place. So When We Let Go is set in the very beginning at Vizcaya, which is in Miami. And you don't even feel like you're in Miami when you're at Vizcaya. You feel like you're like in some like Italian gorgeous like villa. And then also North Carolina holds a very, very special place in my heart. I spend a lot of summers there since I was like 4 years old. So I get a sense of place, and I feel something, and I have to feel something for it to take root and to grow into a story.
Yeah. And well, like you said, writing from what you know is, I
Yeah.
think, step one of your surroundings and how they influence you. Like, I mean, I've been on Long Island now 9 years, and it definitely has shaped, you know, the beach lifestyle that I have and all these different interactions. But I grew up in New Jersey, so it's not like too drastic
Oh, I was
of
gonna
a
say, where were
culture.
you before Long Island? And you're like, okay, New Jersey, that's the same.
Yeah, I grew up in South Jersey by Philadelphia,
Okay.
kind of close to Cherry Hill,
Okay.
which is like, I think it's South Jersey. It's the well-known area. But yeah, what I really love is even when you describe Vizcaya, which I think is a mansion, right? With gardens.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So almost like an arboretum, I guess we would say here on Long Island. We have the Gilded Age mansions. Um, so I remember that right away we get your protagonist, Avery, is kind of reflecting a lot in Vizcaya about all these different themes. So I know your novel's called When We Let Go, but for some reason I've kind of said When We Let Go, a reflection on mourning, loss and love is like the subtitle in my head. Um, and I just want to know, like, why are these themes, how did they come to you? Like, how did you know this was going to be a reflection on loss
I
at the
feel like
heart?
I feel like a lot of my books have that emotional depth to them, those
Mm,
layers that come from loss, not necessarily death, but grieving something in your life.
mhm.
And we're all, that's such a relatable topic. And again, writing what we know. I've experienced my share of pain and disappointment and loss in my own life from, you know, not really having a father in the house when I was growing up. So what that felt like as a child, to losing the physical and emotional presence of my mother as an adult. So I've experienced different kinds of grieving, people and relationships. And you love. I just feel like I am a little bit of a love junkie. I feel that everybody processes love and grief so differently. And I just love understanding the why, the motivation behind it. And I just feel like there's so much we can learn from how people experience love and grief. And those are the themes that I like to touch on in my novels, because I always feel like there's these little hidden gems things that I've learned that have helped me grow, that I want to share with my readers. My mom was a teacher and she died 10 years ago. And I feel like that the teacher in her lives inside of me, that my novels entertain, I hope, but I also want readers to walk away having learned something about themselves or seen themselves, and to be able to handle love, relationships, family, grief in maybe a different way. And I've gotten that feedback from readers, and that to me is everything, worth more than any bestseller list.
Yes, yes. Yes, reader response. It's the way I feel about those who listen right now out there. Listeners out there. That's a Whitman poetry quote. But that hearing how they're relating to your work is so nothing can top that. Right? I mean, that's why you put out art, is for it to be received and responded to emotionally. And like, even when I'm reading When We Let Go, and I was saying to Rochelle, I'm listening to it too, which is really interesting with all these dialects of North Carolina. And then um like the performer actually really digs deep into that. And what I think though about what you said, I kind of have seen your genre, and maybe you don't see it this way, which, I hope this doesn't offend you. Um, but it's this beautiful realism meets romance, almost like a meditation, just a
Why,
meditation on life.
why would that offend?
Hi, this is Andrew. So, as some of you might know, I've been such a fan of the Gay and Lesbian Review, bi-monthly magazine of history, culture, and politics that publishes essays in a wide range of disciplines, as well as a slew of reviews of books, plays, and movies, and a number of special features, such as artist profiles and the popular Art Memo column. Did you know we actually had two of the writers on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room podcast, Ignacio Darnad and Vernon Rosario? So if you haven't, make sure you listen to those episodes. Each GNLR issue brings you consistently intelligent, lively, thought provoking articles focused on a unifying theme and brings together the leading minds on the topic. You won't find a lot about the latest dating fads or fashion trends, though you might find articles about online dating as a social phenomenon, like Grindr, which I have some experience with, or the gay influence on 20th century fashion. Now, for a special offer, when you subscribe to the GNLR, you'll receive a free copy with any print or digital subscription. That's 7 instead of 6. Visit glreview.org. That's glreview.org. Click subscribe and enter promo code ITBR for your free issue. And as an added bonus, you'll receive online access to all archived issues of the magazine. Enjoy your reading.
Look, Bumble knows you're exhausted by dating. All the must not take yourself too seriously and 6'1" since that matters. And what do I even say other than hey? Well, that's why they're introducing an all-new Bumble with exciting features to make compatibility easier, starting the chat better, and dating safer. They've changed, so you don't have to. Download the new Bumble now.
That is like
Well,
a
I don't know. Sometimes when you say
beautiful. Say that
romance,
again. That was what did you call it? You called it
well, it's like
romantic
I would call
realism.
it, yeah, I think
Romantic
it's romantic
realism.
realism.
Okay, so one of the things that I really try my hardest to do in carving out any stories and in real life, to be honest, is to be authentic and to be real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like because of my journal writing all those years and the musing and the like the free association but on paper type of thinking, I feel like when I'm writing, I'm really digging from my gut. Like it's almost like I'm writing in my journal, but I'm writing this journal story, and it's very real to me. Like I literally step into these characters, and even if I haven't experienced a feeling like that, I've seen somebody I've loved experience a feeling like that. And I don't know how, I don't know why. I just know how to capture and dig deep into those feelings. It just comes easily to me. I can't write historical fiction. I can't, I'm not the most succinct writer. Sometimes there's a little bit of superfluous language because I'm like very expressive, but I just feel like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm like that a medium that it comes through me and it comes out on the page. I don't know. Weird.
Well, that's actually I think that's the preferable method, that you're not overcome by how is it going to happen on the page. But I'm sure you also have your doubt. Like I feel like all writers, we have the moment of how is this even going to happen? Like the planning stage. But then there's always so much surprise, right? When you're
Oh
actually
yeah.
digging deep into the characters.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done podcasts where it's the question comes up, are you a plotter, are you a pantser? And
Yes.
it's one of the funniest questions because it's ubiquitous. It's all over, but it's an interesting question. But most writers will tell you whether they're a plotter or a pantser. I am a pantser. The one time I plotted, I had the same end result. My characters, they take me in certain directions. Like I get a feeling from them. They fight me in my head. They're like, no, 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 that's not what I want to do. Your characters lead you on this journey, really.
Yeah, yeah. And just for everyone out there, pantsing is just like you don't have any
No outline,
outline. No
right?
outline. You're kind of just seeing the characters as they come to you, like you said,
Right.
Rochelle. And
It's
I think when
flying
I,
by the
yeah,
seat of your pants. That's what it is.
yes,
It's
flying by the
literally
seat of
just
your pants. I like
right,
that. Being spontaneous.
right.
But you're right. I think even if that's the thing is when I write academic scholarship, like I have a whole outline, but once I'm deep into the analysis, it's not following exactly every bullet point. Like it can't, because if I follow every bullet point, I've held myself to this strict interpretation,
Yeah,
which isn't the enjoyable part for me is the organic nature of writing. That's
sure.
what why I love poetry as a genre, especially too, is it's not complete. Like there's always it's a snapshot. And I
Right.
feel like in your novel, it is very poetic. And I think when I said I don't want to offend, it's more that I know sometimes when you get grouped as a romance writer, and I don't believe this, but
Right.
there's almost there's not that depth or the nuance. But I feel like romance as a genre is so full of philosophical questions because I would say almost every novel has an aspect of romance. Like,
Do you you
yeah.
do, but I hope your listeners out there know that also the romance genre right now, I'm not romance. I'm not like really typecast into romance. I'm more women's like emotional fiction, whatnot. And yes, I always have some form of a romance in my book, but rom-coms, they are taking off like nothing right now. I mean,
Mhm.
every bestseller list is like a rom-com, or and people are reading those books. They're feel good books in a world that's a little bit crazy right now. They are
Yeah.
feel good go-to books.
Yeah. Well, I used to watch The Handmaid's Tale
Yeah,
a lot a few years ago, and then now I'm
right.
like reality TV, rom-coms. I just saw Bros. I'm a huge Real Housewives fan just
Oh, they're
because
so
you're
cute.
right. Yeah. Well, and I like heaviness in work, but like when I'm just relaxing after my mind whirling and
Right.
buzzing all day. Do I really now want to watch The Handmaid's Tale in this
Okay, so
dystopian
go watch
world?
Bad Sisters. Bad
Okay, Bad
Sisters is
Sisters.
so mindless fun that
I like it.
that's that I don't watch a lot of TV anymore because now I'm just reading all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why, like, if I choose a show, I really need to love, not even just love, but it has to
Mhm.
be so that entertainment value. Like, I even
Yeah,
watch Abbott
sure.
Elementary, which I think is hilarious, and Cheryl Lee Ralph. I don't know. Well, there's so much the feel good shows, but um I'm so glad you said that though, Rochelle, about romance, because well, even Bridgerton, look at that
Oh, I
book
loved
series. These
Bridgerton.
right period romances have made a comeback. It's, even why I think people love, say, horror romance, like
Right,
Interview
right,
with the
right,
Vampire.
right.
But something in your novel that I want everyone out there to know is just how beautifully you craft. Well, so Avery has lost her mother, we know at the beginning. And then we find out about this fire and this tragedy that happens with Avery. And I don't want to like reveal it all because I want your readers. Yes,
Right, right,
she's
right,
shaking her head. She's like,
right.
don't say it all. But I think I can safely say, just as one of your readers, it was so interesting how much in doubt I was about her first husband, like whether I actually knew if he was alive or not. um like you really craft this
Oliver.
suspense. Oliver,
Yeah.
yes. So Oliver is part of this fire tragedy, but it's almost it takes a while, and I'm sure there's a reason. I know there's a reason behind why Oliver doesn't really come up in Avery's thoughts in
Right,
full sentences. It's just these
right.
real brief snapshots, glimpses, not processing even where he is now. Is he there? I was just questioning, who is Oliver? Where is he? And but that way of just thinking about how grief, even if someone is dead or not, that you really can't fully grasp the gravity of a situation, I thought was one of the best portrayals I've seen of loss
Oh,
in all
thank
of its aspects.
you.
So
You
I
just
want to
gave me,
thank you
just gave
for
me
what you did.
goosebumps. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But it
Thank you.
is. And how do you readers of When We Let Go respond to you, especially about the tragedy of the fire and like how that ripples and carries through with Avery?
So a lot of my author friends don't know how that I do this, but I don't read reviews.
Mhm.
My husband reads every review. If there's anything that I need to know, because sometimes reviews are good constructive criticism. And if you're seeing the same thing over and over again in reviews, it's something to definitely look at or consider. But I have received through my newsletter, emails on my website. I have had a couple generous author writers who have reached out to me to tell me exactly what I set out to do, that they were dealing with the loss of somebody and it significant in their life, and reading this book was so healing for them, and it made them see a situation differently, and the power of somebody you lost always with you. Like when we started this podcast, do you remember when we started this podcast, like Andrew had like a fire alarm go off, and I was like, did you lose somebody recently? Because somebody's trying to talk to you. Like lights flicker in my house. I'm not like a spooky weird person, but my mom died, and I believe that she comes to me in butterflies. And if the lights flicker, I'm like, my mom's trying to tell me something. And you know what? It sounds like hokey, but it's my way of grieving and healing and
Mhm.
feeling her presence around me. And those are the types of things in my novels that I try to impart to readers. And they share that with me. And it's just one of the most gratifying emails an author will ever receive. And I'm friends with a lot. Like my last book, This Is Not How It Ends, had a tremendous amount of loss. And one woman who was widowed emailed me, and we are still friends. We email each other. We are social media buddies. Like
Aw.
when she posts a picture of her husband, like I know the story. And, that's so incredible. Not the 5-star reviews, not the 1-star reviews, not having that connection with another human being is really what it's
Yeah.
all
As a Long Islander, I was so excited when I finally found a med spa that totally matched everything I wanted. I was looking for a good facial place, a good place that had skin products. And guess what? In my hometown now of Port Jeff Village, there is Skin Med Spa. And I'm here with the owner, Lauren, who's going to explain to you all what kinds of services are offered, products that are offered, and why you should come to Skin Med Spa if you're in the Long Island or New York City area.
Well, we wanted to open up a place that was offering all holistic, natural treatments that were really providing results driven, where someone could come in, maybe struggling with acne, and has tried so many different products and they couldn't find what's right for them. So we customize all treatments to really help you dive into your skincare goals, whether it's anti aging, rejuvenation, like I said, acne, just to help with cellular turnover, focus on building healthy skin. We have 2 locations. We have Skin Med Spa and Body right here in Port Jeff Village. And again, we focus on all natural plant-based skincare. We'll help you design a good custom skincare line for you, and we'll help you find the right treatments, whatever your skin needs.
Yeah, so Lauren and Sarah, they know that I get puck cupping here. I get hydrofacials with Rosie. I get jet peel facials with Lauren. Everything here is so wonderfully curated, like Lauren said. And there's just any kind of product. Oh, I know. There's now laser hair removal. I mean, there's always a new product being offered. So everyone out there who's listening, if they want to come to Skin Med Spa in Port Jeff Village, how can they find you and get in touch?
We're really active on social media. So at Skin Med Spa PJ on Instagram, that's the best way you could probably find us because we really try to post daily updates of our clients and who's coming in and the treatments that we're doing. And of course, on our website, there's always links down how to book an appointment. But everything we do when you call us, that's always the best way. We answer the phone and we'll talk forever and help you find whatever is perfect for you.
Okay, well, hopefully Lauren gets to meet you all. Say that you heard Skin Med Spa's ad on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and maybe I'll see you all here. Okay.
Sounds good. Bye. Thank you.
The Ivory Tower Boiler Room is so happy to welcome Broadview Press as our official sponsor. Broadview Press is an independent academic publisher in the humanities that produces high-quality, pedagogically useful books for use in university and college classrooms. They publish in the humanities, mainly in English studies, writing, philosophy, and history. They always publish with an eye towards diversity, so there is a strong list of titles from women, people of color, and other authors from marginalized groups. In the summer of 2022, they launched their new Broadview anthology of American literature, which increases diversity in the classroom because it rethinks the American canon and breathes new life into the American Literary Survey. It's actually been called, quote, the new gold standard in the field. I love using Broadview Press text in my own classroom at Stony Brook University. I can't wait to use the new anthology of American literature when I have the opportunity. And for all of you out there, Broadview Press has given us the official code Ivory Tower for 20% off site-wide on broadviewpress.com. Again, that is code Ivory Tower for 20% off. Well, and there's so much connection about love, like whether it's in your novel When We Let Go, about first love, like with Elle, who's this kind of how shall we call her?
She's a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah.
She's a
I was gonna say
nightmare.
like beats to her own drum in a counterculture way,
She's
but
a brat. I'm not afraid of the reviews that tell me that she's what my husband tells me that she's a brat, and I would have like slapped her a long time ago. But you know what? I think about sometimes what I was like as a child and what I put my mother through, and I didn't feel loved, and I was angry, and that I was angry that my dad left, and I had these enormous feelings, and I had nowhere to put them. So she was hostile.
yeah, but I love
it's not excusing the behavior, but
yeah. Well, and I think it's so fascinating how she enters your picture, enters Avery's, scene, which is really that it's from Avery's ex who they may or may not come back together because Jude is the man's name who proposes to Avery, and then we're kind of left. She's walking this tightrope about what to do next. And I found it so interesting, though, that Elle is so close to her. Even though Jude isn't in the picture physically with her right then and there, that she really gets to bond with his daughter. And I found that that was a really interesting relationship that you don't see a lot ever depicted, which is just a child of someone who um there it's not like Avery owes Jude to take Elle under her wing. So I kind of wondered, how did that bond between them really develop with you as a writer? Like,
That
knowing this
was,
is where it has to go. Yeah.
I love the whole enemies to friends.
Mhm.
It's you know, I think I love that whole dynamic of watching, stories have arcs. I loved watching the arc of these two broken women. Avery had lost her mother, and there was the fire tragedy. So there was more loss in her life. And Elle lost her mother too. So
Mhm.
you had two broken women, and Avery and Jude were dating for like, I think, I don't even remember. It was like a year or two, I think. So she definitely, so Avery was in her life. And I think these two women, when they were, first of all, being in North Carolina together, I do believe that nature is this grounding influence. So number one, I think there was some bit of setting that really pushed them together. But also, they were like mirrors of each other. They were both hurt, they were both broken, and they saw so much of each other, so much of themselves in
Mm.
each other. So that, when you see somebody, it's like you're most critical of those, you're most critical of others in what you're most critical of in yourself. So I feel
Yeah.
that there was all this angst between these two because they were so broken and so um but I feel like that they were a mirror to each other, and we watched them like peel down the layers of this thick onion and discover that they were both going through the same types of hurt and healing, and how ultimately they could heal each other. Elle was
Yeah.
looking for a mom figure, and Avery, it's not a secret that she lost a child, and this was somebody that she wanted to prove herself and prove her worth with, and their hurt bound them, their
Mhm. Mhm.
losses.
Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes um I like that aspect though of the mystery of, like, you've even explained with Avery and Elle, just that bond that they share together. And it kind of reminds me of what we think about with fairy tales. And maybe this gets back to this idea of the romance, which is, as a genre, that fairy tales usually they're seen as having just the happy ending aspect and the marriage or a proposal, the love between this very straight male female dynamic that happens. But at the heart of a fairy tale, or not even at the heart, at the start of a fairy tale, is always lost, is usually the parents' loss. And then how is the child going to move forward and create their own path, right? And like whether it be Cinderella, Rapunzel, I mean, name any, Snow White, it's always that loss of a parent and then how they become women. And I mean, for them, usually it's through marriage. But what I find so fascinating is you have kind of crafted a fairy tale that's, though between women. And I find this so interesting because it doesn't take that usual journey of, okay, Avery needs to marry to find fulfillment. And I'm sure you've thought a lot about that aspect. So, how does that resonate about really knowing Avery needed to find herself without a male influence?
And I think that also harkens back to this relationship that she had with Elle, and accepting, being able to accept faults in others and being able to accept faults in oneself. You know, we fight with these, she fought with Avery so much in the relationship, but she saw so much of herself, and then they reached this point where they were both more accepting. That's the piece you're talking about, is that self-accepting piece and the forgiveness. And I loved the scene in the woods where they spent the night, and it was like it was a, what was I trying to say? You're gonna edit this part. It was that survival of the fittest, that, you know, for the survival of them in the woods, and how it was really Elle who changed Avery's trajectory on what happened in the forest. And she was the one who gave her that push that she needed. And I just loved all the psychological layers of that alliance. I feel that it was just very, like you said, it was a fairy tale, and I strive to hit that note. It was very satisfying. They were as much a love story as her and Jude.
So I usually interview LGBTQ authors. So it's really interesting me for the relationship dynamic that you create with Avery and you know, with Jude, and even with Elle and her first, well, serious relationship, we'll say. That something that seems daunting is how you create that even just sexual tension or romance between men and women without falling into these tropes of, like, okay, the man is going to become the protector, or like patriarchal ideas. So how do you process that? Is it again something from your own experience that just launches how that arc?
Interesting question. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever really thought about that. So it must come from just my own experiences. I have gotten some feedback about, oh, like some of my other books where, oh, she needed a man to make her feel good or whatnot. But, you know, I have to say, and you nailed it. Like, I do believe in the fairy tale, whether it's male, male, women, female, female, male. I
Mhm.
just like the whole fairy tale dynamic, and I don't mean to offend anybody
Yeah.
when I do that, and I don't mean to make a strong woman look weak and only, you know, complete without a man. To me, it's more like the emotional journey, and I try to show the woman's emotional journey and her growth to self-acceptance, and then what she wants to do with that, she wants to do with that. So I don't know, I am a little old-fashioned that way. I thought this question was going to go a different way, like about, I thought you were going to say, well, how do you do like sex scenes and then,
Oh,
you know, stop or whatever, and I'm like, well, because my publishing house has told me that, you know, it's the kind of thing where they start kissing and then you pan to the window.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you
I
want
was
to talk
like,
about sex scenes, you can
oh, I love
go
writing
for
sex
it.
scenes.
But
I love writing sex scenes. I'd like to have, and my friend, and I'm going to name her Wendy Kingsley. She wants more sex scenes in my books. I would love more sex scenes, more juicy sex scenes, but you know, there's that fine line between romance slash women's fiction romance.
Mhm.
But yeah, I do write juicy, like angsty, tension filled. You're gonna like
Yeah,
me.
and you do such a your new book. Okay, well, I'll talk about that real quick. But yeah, and you do such a good job. Like as a, you know, you're one of your gay readers. I started the Rochelle Gay Reader fan club. Um, no, but you have such a
But
really exciting way of showing eroticism and the layers of desire, and just how, you know, I don't have to be interested in like finding a woman to be interested in your sex. I wouldn't even call them sex scenes. In
just
just, yeah, they're just the layers of human desire, and you really
exactly. They're
create
basically
that.
words. They're words that could be applied to male or female. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you just arrange them in the right order and the right pacing, and it's hot and it's sexy, and it doesn't matter who's doing it.
Your brain needs support, and new Ollie Brainy Chews are a delightful way to take care of your cognitive health. Made with scientifically backed ingredients like Thai ginger, L-theanine, and caffeine, Brainy Chews support healthy brain function and help you find your focus, stay chill, or get energized. Be kind to your mind and get these nootropic chews at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey, True Crime and Ivory Tower Boiler Room listeners. Listen, the holidays are literally right around the corner, and I know that some of you are scrambling to find that gift for that person on your list who is just so difficult to buy for because they have everything, or you're sitting there in your home and you're realizing that there is this space in your house that just is begging to be decorated, but you don't know what to put there. Well, I'm here to tell you that Mandy Made It has the answers to all of your holiday needs. Mandy Made It makes the best handmade crochet and crochet items I have ever seen. And I mean, literally, she can make anything. The customization options are literally endless. So go to @MandyMadeIt on Instagram and search Mandy Made It on Facebook. Slide into her DMs and order your customized holiday gifts and decorations today. That's @MandyMadeIt on Instagram. And Mandy is spelled MANDEE. Once again, search Mandy Made It on Instagram and Facebook. Slide in her DMs and order your gifts or holiday decorations today.
Yeah. Well, and something that even just, I think that captivates and tantalizes me more in When We Let Go, that I'm sure others have responded to, is not even whether Avery is going to end up with Jude or whether there's going to be marriage. To me, it's not the marriage that's so fascinating, and it's what you do so well in When We Let Go, which is because it's not a genre that I typically read. So I was so excited to discover your work, Rochelle.
How
I'm
did
like,
you
oh,
find me? This is so funny.
well, I think it's probably through Josh Sabarra, who has like
Okay.
connected me to
Oh
so
my God,
many. Yeah.
Josh.
Mhm.
All right,
Yeah, shout out to Josh.
We'll have to send Josh. By the way, shout out to Josh, who's going to be on TV on Saturday. Did you know that?
No. Well, so he's already been on TV as this comes out, but yes, what is he
No,
doing?
yeah. I'm going to tell you. Josh will be on. He's like, don't watch it. So God knows he may kill me for sharing this, but Josh is going to be on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, 10 p.m. on Saturday. I would encourage you to not.
Well, it's just between us and the listeners now. But Josh, it's already premiered. So wait, he's on a Hallmark movie or is it like a guest spot?
It's on
Okay.
Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, 10 p.m. on Saturday.
Oh, okay. Well, I am now going to investigate this. So, but yeah, I think what I know Josh is so looks for in a genre is what I look for in a genre, which is just that depth of the human experience. And that's something in When We Let Go. Like whether or not Avery gets that spark of love isn't as fascinating to me than just why is she how she reflects on Jude's impact in her life and how she can't let him go. Like there's these moments of, I think we have all experienced with love, that you could just be making an omelet and then all of a sudden that thought of someone in your past comes into your mind. And now you're thinking about the dates you went on together, the laughter you had, and then you realize, but wait, there's something that ended this. Like, that's why I'm not next to this person.
So what it sounds like you're saying is that it's that universal feeling and it's relatable.
It is very relatable.
Regardless of how it ends up. And I don't want to pat myself on the back, but that's what every author strives for, to have that relatability across genres, across identity, sexuality, whatever it is, however it ends, to have something that really speaks to you.
Yes. And right, of course, there's that reader relatability about your identity. And if it speaks directly to your identity, right? Like when if I read a um gay love story, like, or even just Call Me by Your Name, it registers differently
Right.
just because I can directly try to put myself in the narrative. But I love that also aspect of reflecting on, okay, well, this isn't necessarily my identity, but
Right.
like you've said, this is the universal theme of love. And how has this affected me? You ask a lot of meditative questions in a process like that. And then, like you said, that's what you want as a writer. And I'm so glad you gave me so many ways to reflect about past love and even where I am now in my journey with love. And
Well, I know a nice single
yeah.
guy in California. Not Josh.
I was
Somebody
gonna
else.
say, is it Josh Sabarra?
Oh, we love Josh.
I know. Well, let's see, Rochelle. I mean, maybe I'll be doing that East-West coast. I don't want to really leave the New York City, Long Island area,
I
but
get it.
I'm not opposed to California. I'm a huge San Fran fan too in LA. So,
Right.
And I need to get to Miami. That's a place now.
You
So many
do. And if
people
you
I know,
come, and
I
if
need
you
to
come,
come.
if you
Yeah.
come, you have to call me. I promise you I
Okay.
will take you out. We'll have dinner. We'll just do fun stuff.
Oh, we'll have to go to Vizcaya because now
Yes.
I'm like, I
Yes.
want to see this because
You
I
would
love
love it.
gardens and mansions.
It's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
And I know it's in that area of Miami that like is the destination of art and culture.
It's literally like being in another country being there. It's not like being in Miami.
Yeah. And I really want to see there's Fisher Island, Star Island. I don't know. Yeah, you're laughing. I watched The Real Housewives of Miami, so I know about those islands. So you mentioned that you are working on a new book, and I will really like it because of the themes we've discussed here. So what are you working on, Rochelle, that we can expect from you?
Okay, well, my pub date just changed from May of 23 to October of 23.
Ooh, okay.
I just view that as we're just going to make it that much better.
Yeah.
It's right now the working title is What You Do to Me. It's dual timeline, and it is the story of Cecilia James. She was named after Cecilia from Simon and Garfunkel, and she works for Rolling Stone magazine, and she is on the hunt for the muse behind one of like these famous love songs. This is 1996.
Oh, wow.
And and then in 1970 in the dual timeline, you read the story of this Spanish boy and this Jewish girl, and it's a forbidden love and how their story unfolds, and she's the muse for this song and why they're not together and why they parted. And there's themes of loss, there's themes of second chances, there's it's all, and there's music, and it's Rolling Stone, and it's cool, and it's hip, and it's the 70s and it's the 90s. So I think it's like a mishmash of really cool stuff.
Oh, wow. Well, you are going to absolutely love a friend of the show who, well, when this has come out, everyone should listen. We had recapped the Marilyn Monroe film, Blonde, because Elizabeth Winters wrote a Monroe biography. But now she actually, in the summer, so a few months, I think it's July, before your book comes out, Rochelle, Rolling Stones must be in everyone's mind. I love it, in the psyche, the zeitgeist, because she actually wrote Parachute Women, which is going to be about Marianne Faithfull, Marsha Hunt, Bianca Jagger, and Anita Pallenberg.
I'm writing
And
Parachute
Women. Mm-hmm. And it's a biography about the women who curated the Rolling Stones image, like the women in their lives.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so
Jan Wenner just came out with his new book, the Rolling Stone book. So that's
there must be an anniversary. Is there an anniversary? Okay. Something's happening in the Rolling Stone universe.
Yes.
But well, I can't wait, Rochelle. I love a dual narrative. I like this dual timeline. I think that is so fascinating. I like that you're going to your music industry roots. So yeah, I can't wait for this. So October, we'll have to have you back on.
I would love it.
We're gonna have some Rolling Stones love here in the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. I like it. I have to catch up on the playlist. But yeah, I just want to really thank you for just your words, the themes that you really delve into, because it's not, I think it's easy. Okay, I shouldn't say easy. No writing job is easy, but I find that like going into mysteries, which I love, and horror or thrillers or I love all genres. Um or even historical fiction, I find that you've kind of created, or fantasy even. We've had Gregory Maguire here on about Wicked and his universe.
Mhm.
That it's so exciting when you create a new universe in a way. Like you become distanced as the writer in a different
Sure,
way.
sure.
But I think when you write realist fiction, and especially when it deals with loss and love and romance, there's so much of yourself in a way in that, of your own experience,
Mhm.
that it almost starts to border memoir in a way. And
Oh, yeah.
um yeah, so I thank you for really putting that on the page, because I think it's a different psychological experience as a writer than when you're distant, like when you can create a different universe that is out of time. Like you know that it probably, even like a girl on the train, this isn't
Right,
something
right,
we
right, right.
hopefully want to see. Um, and you can have that disbelief as a writer when you're
Right.
suspending it that way. So yeah, thank you for getting to the
Thank
heart of
you.
it all.
Thank you for
Yeah.
reading, and thank you for
Yes.
having me.
Yes. Well, and everyone out there, please get When We Let Go. Um, I have the links to it in our show notes. I also have the Audible link if you're also like me, an Audible. Yeah, I've trained my mind to listen to audiobooks when I'm showering, cooking, doing emails. It's like it's
Same.
just the noise I need. I love having narratives in the background. But Rochelle's books are, you know, don't just only do When We Let Go. Go down the deep dive into Rochelle's catalog, and
Yes.
then we will have you back on. I can't
Perfect.
wait for your new
Sounds
book.
great. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Andrew, this was
Yes.
so much fun, and thank you so much.
Of course, of course. Well, and say hi to Miami for me. I need
We're
to like,
welcoming you. We're
I
welcoming
know,
you.
I can feel it. I'm like, okay, I need to find a way to like do something I need to see what's in their libraries. I will
Okay.
find a reason.
We'll figure out a way.
We'll figure it out. Okay, well, thank you,
All
Rochelle,
right.
and
Thanks, Andrew. Have an
thank
awesome
you.
day.
Thanks, you too, and bye to everyone out there.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
LGBT stories are universal, but each one speaks to the individual heart and soul of the writer telling it. Do you have a story to tell? Have you been moved by an LGBT book, film, painting, television show, or other form of media? If so, the Gay and Lesbian Review wants to hear from you. The G&LR believes in bringing awareness to queer art and artists through reviews, commentary, and thought pieces in which the author relates their personal lives to a particular piece of art, a novel, a movie, or what have you. In addition to the articles published in the print magazine, the G&LR also publishes articles on its blog, as well as personal essays on its popular Here's My Story section. This allows people like you to share their own experiences with our readers. To learn more about submitting either to the print or the online edition of the G&LR, visit georeview.org. That's GLREVIEW.org. And scroll down to the bottom of the page to find a link to their writer's guidelines. If you have questions, email me at stephen.hemrick@georeview.org. The GNLR can't wait to see what you have to say.
Hi, Ivory Tower Boiler Room audience. It is Andrew Rimby, the director of the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Welcome to our winter season. And are you trying to stay warm this season? Well, guess what? We have the Ivory Tower Boiler Room Cafe. It is our Patreon where there is so much bonus content. So I'll go over all that. But first, it's only $5, which is less than a latte, a cappuccino, a coffee, a tea, basically anything now, because, we have some inflation going on. So join us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room. What do you get? You get Gregory Maguire giving us all the scoop on the Wicked movie musical. You get Jesse Green giving us his hot takes on the Broadway musical. If you don't know who Jesse is, well, you should, because he's the chief theater critic of the New York Times. You get all the JFK and Marilyn Monroe scoop from Elizabeth Winder, a Marilyn Monroe biographer. So much more. You get all our video interviews. You can see everything, including the bonus content. And Mary's going to tell you from True Crime and Academia what you get later. But if you're not following us on social media and seeing our video teasers, well, you need that to stay, nice and energized on these winter days. So follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. While it's still here, why don't you follow us on Twitter at Ivory Boiler Room? And here's my chief contributor, Mary.
Hey, True Crime friends and Ivory Tower Boiler Room friends. Like Andrew said, you're going to get access to all of this bonus content. That includes True Crime and Academia. So not only will you have access to the bonus episode each month, you will also have video access to the interviews that I conduct on my podcast once a month. You get all of that extra content at your fingertips whenever you feel like watching it, literally for a cup of coffee. So why don't you just buy us one? That'd be so nice. We would appreciate that because we love your support already, but we could use a little bit more if you don't mind.
Yes, we could. And also, hey, do you all know you can actually DM us questions at our social media channels? Yes. Also, why don't you ask us questions with our social media posts? We love it. We even shout out questions on our episodes. And if you want, you can always email us at ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com to actually order our merchandise. So we have hats, we have t-shirts, we have posters, we have everything. If you want any merchandise with the Ivory Tower Boiler Room logo, we're going to make it happen for you. Okay, on that note, happy winter season, everyone.
Happy winter.